Hi, this is Memo bringing you another original content nobody asked for. Mid-year fantasy book relationships tier list 2019. Once this tier list is done, we're going to have a definitive ranking of the relationships so we can apply this in real life in our own relationships. So there's also a practical goal here. It's not just fun and games, okay? This is serious. Next time you meet someone and you feel like you're having feelings for them, I want you to remember this list and act accordingly, okay? Great. Also, I'm going to tell you the list of books I'm going to be using in this list. There is going to be mild spoilers. Now, I'm not going to go into any major plot details, so I will try to avoid spoilers in that way, but there will be some character spoilers because some of these relationships are actually in the books. So the books I'm going to be using are Angel Fall, Circe, La Belle Sauvage, Scythe, Shadow and Bone, but also a little bit Siege and Storm too. I haven't read the third book yet, so it's going to be mostly those two books. Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Mistborn, I haven't read the last book, so this is only going to be the first and the second books. The Gilded Wolves, The Poppy War, Vicious, and Warcross. Those are the books we're going to be using for our mid-year relationship tag. Let's begin with something simple and basic. Let's begin with Angel Fall. Penryn and Raphael. Raphael is an archangel. Penryn saves Raphael, and then they're traveling together, going through adventures. Obviously, something develops there. Sure, they have chemistry, but they're so different from each other. It is kind of forbidden love, which makes it a little bit more interesting. There's also the thing that Penryn can lift Raphael's sword. Didn't really sound great in this context, but literally, Penryn can lift Raphael's sword, and it's a huge, heavy sword that no one can really lift. It's a little bit dangerous waters here, but I'm gonna say that's a connection. But, of course, there's that one instance where Raphael goes, I don't even like you. Who does that? I'll tell you who. Not a great relationship. So that I will give a solid C. Let's start with a solid C. Also, to be honest, I didn't expect this book to turn into like a paranormal romance. It didn't quite turn into a paranormal romance, but it feels like it's going to. So I don't know if I'm going to be reading the second and third books yet. Moving on. Circe. Now, there are several relationships in this book, but the main one is Circe and Odysseus. Now, there's the thing that Odysseus is married and has a kid, and he's like a king somewhere or something. And there's also the thing that Circe turns him into a pig. I mean, I guess if you're into that kind of thing. But like, basically, Odysseus just happens to stumble upon this island, and Circe can't even use dating apps because there's just no one in 500 miles around her. He's like the first half-decent guy she sees in a century, so I kind of understand Circe's position here. And I guess Odysseus has been on the sea for so long, but like I'm having trouble finding anything common between those two. So I'm just gonna say this is a D. Didn't need to happen, but gotta do what you gotta do. And I mean, they end up having a kid too, so there's that, and then the kid becomes the king or whatever, I guess. So maybe not that bad, but you know, I'll still start with a D. Maybe we'll change it later. Next one. Citra and Rowan from Scythe. Now, obviously, they go to school together. They're apprentices of the same Scythe, and they spend a lot of time together. It feels like they kind of care about each other. And obviously, I don't want to spoil the book, but they are willing to sacrifice. So that seems pretty good, but they are a little bit too different from each other. I don't know if they complete each other or contradict each other. It did end up working out a little bit okay, but I'm still gonna go with a C. Sorry, Strand Rowan. All right, the next one is from La Belle Sauvage, Malcolm and Alice. This relationship came out of nowhere. At first, Malcolm and Alice did not have a close relationship, but the book played it really well and developed their friendship into having feelings for each other. And I kind of started rooting for them in the end. I don't know if it's gonna last or not, especially because in the second book, there's gonna be like a time jump of 20 years or so. So I don't know what's gonna happen with this relationship, but I kind of enjoyed having it, and it was kind of the only thing I enjoyed in that book. So I'm just going to give it a solid B. Moving on to another relationship from Circe. Do you remember when I said Odysseus had a son? So Circe meets his son, and then they kind of hit it off. Just no. Next book, Mistborn. Vin and Elend. If you have been watching any of the videos on this channel, you probably know that I'm not a fan of Elend. I think he's extremely dull. Another thing I'm having trouble understanding is what these two have in common. I mean, Elend is different from the other guys in the court because he likes reading books, but Vin doesn't. They are extremely different from each other, and the way they fell in love was like super quick in the book. I am still having a hard time figuring out what keeps them together, but they keep staying together. They're kind of a mild couple with not a lot of problems, so I'm just gonna give them a C. Next on the list is Alina and Darkling from Shadow and Bone. I can see that everyone is thirsting for Darkling, but basically the guy is a psychopath. There's that thing about the compatibility of their powers, but I think if you're looking for compatibility of powers in a relationship, you're not really gonna get much out of that relationship. So I'm gonna give a solid D. Next on the list is Alina and Mal. Obviously they grew up together. They kind of understand each other well. Seems like they have good chemistry. It seems like there's awful lot of not talking between them. It also feels like they have genuine feelings for each other, but just because of the scene between them when they were about to get to the stag, I'm just gonna give this a B. Next on the list is Alina and Nikolai. Nikolai is an interesting character. I am having some sort of difficult time understanding why all these people have feelings for Alina, because Alina is not the most likable person. But still, Nikolai is a practical guy. Maybe that's why. And it is true that they have similar positions. So maybe it wouldn't be terrible, but I think it would be terrible for Nikolai. But I'm still gonna give this a C, because I think it's not as bad as Darkling, but I think they have as much in common as she has with Mal. Next on the list is Jesper and Wylan from Six of Crows. I think they're a cute couple. They joke with each other, but they also care for each other. They are there for each other. I really like them together and I want them to stay together. So to me, that's an A tier relationship. If you're picking a relationship, pick Jesper and Wylan. Next one on the list is again from Six of Crows. It's Nina and Matthias. The thing I like about Nina and Matthias is them being in a relationship makes each of them a better person. Because of Nina, Matthias is able to grow and get over his prejudices. And because of Matthias, Nina can keep an open mind even about her enemies. So in my book, that's an A tier relationship right there. You gotta love those Six of Crows relationships. Next on the list is Rin and Alton from the Poppy War. Now, obviously, everyone is attracted to Alton, but it seemed like he was kind of drawn to Rin as well. I'm not sure if it's because Rin and Alton ended up being from the same people, but overall, I don't feel Alton can care about anyone. Not really. He's just too hungry for power. It's a little bit like Alina and Darkling, although obviously Alton is not clear-cut psychopath like the Darkling, and he doesn't have as silly of a name. So I'm just gonna give it a D. But also, you know what? Maybe Rin is kind of a psychopath now too. So I don't really know what to say. I'm just gonna do a C minus. Honestly, maybe they are too much like each other at this point. The next relationship is from the Poppy War, Rin and Neja. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I don't really know how to pronounce his name. This is the guy Rin punches on the first day of school, but then he's maybe kind of nice now after the war or something. And she is like having feelings for this guy a little bit. I am having difficulty accepting this. So I'm just going to say why. Why is this happening to me? That is Rin and Neja. The next one on the list is Emika and Hideo from Warcross. Now, the first obvious problem with this relationship is Hideo is Emika's boss, but Hideo is the ideal mysterious anime boyfriend, so I'll give him that. I mean, they both like playing games and stuff, so they can spend time, but isn't it a little bit creepy that Hideo sent a private plane, flew her to Tokyo, gave her a shit ton of money, and also started dating her? A little bit off, but you know what? I'll still give it a C. Although, now that I think about the ending that I don't want to spoil, I'm just going to want to C minus. The next one on the list is Genya and David from Shadow and Bone. I really want them to be together. They feel like such a cute couple. It's one of those things where they both like each other, but it's just really hard to talk. But in this case, I kind of understand because they've had very different statuses. But as the story progresses, it seems like they are getting closer and closer to each other. So I want to root for them, but right now it's a B. The next one on the list is from the Gilded Wolves, Layla and Severin. This is one of those relationships that I just don't understand why these two are kind of together. I mean, they're like on and off type of relationship, but I just cannot understand what really connects them. And one reason is because no one talks genuinely in this book. Everyone is being sarcastic 100% of the time, and everyone keeps making jokes. So especially these two, they just keep picking on each other. After every sentence they say to each other, there's a joke, a witty comment. So it feels like they're not sharing anything real. Thankfully, I already have a tier for this. Why? The next one on the list is Victor and Eli from Vicious. That's right, you heard me. I think there is a lot of tension that needs to be relieved between those two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a special tier for them. I'm going to call it Get a Room. I think if those two can get a room and get it over with, the whole world will be better. The next one on the list is from Six of Crows again. It's Kaz and Inej, of course. Oh, Kaz and Inej, I love them so much. That scene when Kaz changes Inej's bandages just gets me every time. Leigh Bardugo devises this incredible, perfect situation for these two characters. One of them cannot touch and the other one cannot be touched. And they have feelings for each other. How do you deal with this? They have to overcome their own fears to be with the person they love. That is, I think, beautifully done in the book. I think they complete each other. I am not sure if that's the kind of relationship that will last because Kaz is such a destructive person. I hope it does. For now, that's my S tier relationship. However, there's one more relationship left that we need to rank. That is the most important relationship. Surprisingly enough, it's from The Gilded Wolves, a book I didn't care for much. But there was one character I really cared about a lot. And that character was Hypnos. Hypnos was so full of himself. He was so pretentious, but in the most lovable, fun way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create his own tier. I'm going to create a special tier just for Hypnos. And that is my S++ tier. It's gonna be Hypnos and Hypnos, okay? You gotta love yourself first. And you know what? There's not a single person that deserves Hypnos in that book anyway. So Hypnos, you don't need any of those guys. You are a complete and interesting person on your own, and your relationship with yourself is the top tier S++ winner of the mid-year fantasy book relationships tier list 2019. All right, so that's the tier list I came up with. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of these relationships. I believe this is the definitive relationship guide for everyone out there. And let me know how you're planning to apply this incredible resource in your own life. And I will see you in the next tier list.